invocation giver is not present, so Councilor Glory Gordon, could you give the invocation, please? Appreciate it. Thank you.
Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing all of us to be together today. Help us make the hard decisions that we have to make for the Cherokee people. Care for the folks that are overseas, protecting our liberties, and hopefully help us through the next couple of months in making decisions for the Cherokee Nation. Amen.
Councilor Glory Gordon, appreciate it. Shelley, can we have a roll call, please?
Curtis Snell. Chris Soap.
Here.
Bill England.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Julia Coates. Here. Bradley Cobb. Joe Crittenden. Jody Fishing Hawk.
Yep.
Meredith Fraley. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
Tina Glory Jordan.
Present.
David Thornton. Tara Cowan Watts.
Honey.
John Masters. We do have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Shelley. Yeah. This Councilor Buzzard.
Johnny Masters, his wife called me last week, and Johnny's been ill for the last 3 or 4 days. He was in the hospital, but he's gotten out. He's home now, and he just wanted to let everybody know to keep him in the prayers. Shirley called me last week and wanted to make sure we had snacks down here today, so we met this morning. I picked those up, so those are still from Johnny Masters. He just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
Appreciate that. That says a lot about the character of somebody that has made commitments and they still stand behind them even though they're not in the best of health. So we appreciate the Masters family for that. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the October 11th, 2010 regular session.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All right, we've got our reports here, and then we've got Management Resources, Angela Drews.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, committee members. You've got my monthly report in front of you, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Yes, Councilor Cowan Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank you for you and Pat's work on trying to get the consultation formally done on the plant gathering.
Yes, ma'am.
And something that came up at NCAI that I haven't had a chance to regroup, it was actually Rob Doherty, I think, and possibly Andy Quitone that went.
Okay.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife did consultation on our rights to feathers and the permitting and such. That is limited by law to federally recognized tribal citizens and their specifics, and they've just redone the form. However, the form has a lot to be desired in that it's like I can name Buell my elder and he could sign and not registration. There's like not a really firm way of verifying, and I think it leaves a lot of opportunity for fraudulent folks to get a hold of them.
So we need to comment.
I think we need to comment on that, and I haven't had time because we didn't get into late Friday night on going back to see what they said and stuff.
Okay.
And they should catch them at the point if they check the permit. But those fake cards have gotten so good that why would OHP or whoever know the difference between lost Cherokees of crazy land versus Cherokee Nation? Mm-hmm. They may not. So
okay,
we need to strengthen that.
We'll look into that.
Is that all, Councilor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for Councilor Buzzard?
Angela, I had notified David Igert about a piece of property there in Jay across from the clinic.
Yes, sir.
And the last time I talked to David, he said that they had made an offer on the thing. Are you familiar with that one I'm talking about?
Yes.
Do you know if we got to acquire that or still out?
I'm trying to remember what the last land update report said, Harley.
It was a newbie property, I know that.
Let me check on
Hopefully
that.
check on. I'm just curious. It's a really good piece of property.
'Cause I knew we picked up one piece that was adjoining a piece of property that we had
Uh,
there
That may be it.
in J. But then there was another piece right across from the clinic that a church owned, if I'm remembering the right
Yeah, there's
side.
a piece of property there too.
Okay, let me double check.
Okay.
Let me
Just
double check.
email
on
in
this one.
and let me know.
All right, any other questions on the reporting section?
I have
Yes, Councilman
one more,
Buzzer.
and it may not be under your, under you, Angie, but this piece of property down here at the intersection,
Uh-huh.
it's, I understand it's not in trust. It is in trust.
I'll let Linda speak to
Okay.
that. Mr. Echohawk did, oh, she's not here. He did, are you speaking? From what I understand is, they authorized that to be able to go into trust, but now we have to actually, post it and give time for public comment. But, most people are looking at that as, it won't be much of, we don't expect any challenge and that there won't be any problems about it going on into trust, but to say that it is already in trust status is jumping the gun. Let me get Linda right. Pat, do you want to speak about the property down here at the Y and exactly what has happened as far as what Mr. Echohawk has approved as far as trust status and what we still need to do to officially have this status?
Go ahead. Well, the short answer is that the secretary, after 7 years or whatever the time is, has finally approved the transaction, which means to take it into trust. Now, we have to do some administrative things to complete the transaction so that the regional director will sign the deed and then it will be done. I think we have some administrative notices still to send out. But to say the good news is the secretary has approved the transaction, so we're this close to finalizing the deal.
Yeah, I believe the environmentals and everything have been done.
They have.
We're waiting on the newspaper. They're supposed to write it in the...
Right, we have to do a newspaper.
A 30-day notice, and then there will be probably another 30 days where they go out and inspect the property and make sure it's still in the same situation as it was. And we'll have to do some more affidavits to the department, and once that's done, they should be ready to do the deed.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I know, Angela, there were several follow-up items from the last meeting. Did those all get addressed either prior to the meeting, or do we still have some outstanding items we need to follow up on?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Pat and Linda. I spoke with Ms. Cowan-Watts about the outstanding issue I had with her, and then I spoke with Councilman Thornton about Salisaw Creek Park, and I let him know on that property, one of his questions was there's some confusion about the name of that property, that people get it confused with another Salisaw Creek Park. And so we are submitting that property to the group that actually helps us name new properties or rename properties that we've acquired that are going by the name that they were at the point we acquired them. So we will be submitting for a change of name for that property. And then the other question was making it our second our Cherokee National Park. And so I just spoke with him about the idea of us maybe establishing some criteria as to what actually constitutes something fitting the criteria for a Cherokee National Park, and the fact that we need to do a little bit more homework on that site and getting some documents together before we bring that before you guys to pass a resolution making it a national park. So there may be some, those are the things that I know of that were outstanding.
Okay.
So,
Councilor Thornton?
I just kind of had this idea that, that was actually a national park in the first place because it was a federal park when we received it. Just to keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Councilor Fishing.
Who's all on the committee to name our lands? I'm curious about that.
First federal government.
I'll have to get that from Sammy Rusco. She works with, I think there are elders, well, I believe what they do, and I'm not 100% certain, so there could be some error in this response, but I do know that they work with people from each community. When we go to name a property, there's some elders. We work with people on the language community, and I don't know if they contact council members or not, Jody, but I know that there's a group that they pull together to help with naming.
Well, the reason I was asking is we keep referring to that Hastings property as that Burchett property. We got it from the Burchett, so that's
It'll
really
get
good.
renamed.
But they're not Cherokee. And I
Right.
want to throw Crichton's name in the hat, since he's the one that seemed to had the foresight to demand we buy the property and spearhead it through.
I do know one thing that administration has asked us to steer away from is to try not to name any properties after individuals, to look more at historic happenings and to look at things that have happened for the time periods that we're zoning areas, to think more in the area of naming them like that instead of after individuals or families. So that's one of the things that we've tried to steer away from, but I will definitely make sure that that gets put down, that that was a recommendation.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Councilor Fishing. Councilor Gloria Jordan.
Did I misunderstand? Did you say the Burchett property had been renamed?
No, ma'am, but I said it will eventually
Okay.
be renamed
Okay.
once we start developing on that property. And that's usually what happens, is if we acquire a piece of land at the point that we start developing on it and put a structure on it, then we usually at that point try to rename it.
Is that all, Councilor?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Councilor Thornton, do you have another
You know,
follow-up question?
I was thinking if it doesn't, right now it doesn't meet the criteria for what we have. We've got Salinas Courthouse as a national park. We might go for a national wilderness area. Something of that nature.
Okay.
All right, any other questions, follow-up items? Seeing none, thank you, Commissioner, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Report. Next on the agenda, we have Real Estate Services, Ms. Donaldson. We got a speaker for you. Under the weather.
Marvin and I are going to try back up to that.
Yeah,
That's a good plan there.
We're both backups for Linda.
All
I'm
right.
on with Eli, and I'm sure that you've all had a chance to look at the report in your packets, and if you have any questions, I'll try to address them to the best of my knowledge.
Are there any questions for Ms. Eli? Yes, Councilor Watt.
Thank you. I don't know if it would be in your department. I think it was in your report as managing it, but for maybe I've got the wrong one. But I've got lines written everywhere. Somebody has the recycling center, and I don't know who should report. Maybe it's Tom, but we hear about the recycling center, but I'm not quite sure what the actual overall goals and objectives are from what the users will see.
We'll defer to Angie and to Tom.
Okay, I will wait then. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
So do you want?
I'll follow up. We'll bring that back in a minute.
Okay.
Councilor Buzzard.
Yeah, I'd ask about the property across from Sam Hunter Clinic and Jay, and I see it in Linda's report. But my question is now is, what are we going to do with the house that's on there? Do we normally bid that out to sales? To maybe move it off site? 'Cause it's that's a pretty decent house.
I think she said that they were going to utilize it for health services. Is that what you said?
Intend is to use it currently for health services and maybe later do something.
That's my recollection. I think I've seen that written. is where it is.
Yeah. We repeat that
Well,
for the...
we can get back to you, but I think that's correct, that the plan was to use it for health service. I think I saw something in writing on that. But we will get back to you and confirm or say we didn't know what we were talking about.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah, they need more room up there. That's a good idea. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Counselor. Any other questions for Ms. Eli? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you for the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have one last minute question. Sorry, Tom.
I noticed in your report that you all had a meeting on the Reform Act, and I'm assuming we're trying to resurrect the 47 revisions.
We are.
And I just wondered, where are we going with that? Is it something that's going to be revived, or?
I have a letter prepared for the chief's signature to the other chiefs and governors of the 5 tribes to give them a quick update. We have been working with the OIPA, which is the Petroleum Association that blocked the passage of our legislation back in 2002, as I recall, to see if we can have a meeting of the minds to go back to Congress. We reported on that today and have advised the chiefs and the other governor that we're going to probably need their assistance and forbearance to work through this, but we're still trying to get a legislative act proposed and move it in Congress in the foreseeable future, Councilwoman.
And is it still substantially the same, or are we still going to allow sites to go back into restrictive status?
Well, we're not taking any sites that have lost their restricted status back into trust. They would have to do that separately with the request for a trust application. That's very difficult for an individual to accomplish. What we are trying to do is to retain the restricted status and remove the blood quantums on people being eligible to retain restricted status, and some other reform provisions. We've attempted to work with OIPA to address their concerns and not significantly change the status quo, and that's where we're aimed at this point in time. Whether or not we will ever get agreement with them and have to go to Congress on our own position, or get agreement and hopefully gain their support to move the bill through. There was not any controversy with the bill in 2002 until OIPA objected to it, and Senator Inhofe removed his sponsorship of it or approval.
The original reform, as I recall, would have allowed anybody that had to take their land out of restricted status, if it had a mutual help home on it, would have been allowed to put that back into restricted status. So have we taken that off the table?
I think that is off the table. I mean, nothing's off the table because we have not taken our bill.
I'm seeing Linda nod her head that it's still in there? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, everything that we proposed in 2002 is in the table in our discussions with OIPA, private discussions with OIPA with staff. We've attempted to compromise in order to get their support, but we're not there. We're not there. So.
Lowering the blood quantum is good to keep what we already have in restricted status, maintain it there, but that would affect, if we keep that part in, that will affect probably up to 1,000 homes here in the 14-county area. If they were allowed to take it and put it back in restrictive status, if it came out, to put that mutual help home on it. So that's a real important portion of that reform for us.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope we don't lose it in the shuffle.
Well, we're a long ways from shuffling it back to Congress. I mean, we'll keep you posted.
If you could give us updates periodically on that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, Linda and I will do that at the next session and let you know where we are.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Norma and Pat. Appreciate you. Next on the agenda, we have environmental programs. Tom Elkins, patiently waiting.
Very patiently waiting, sir. Good afternoon. I hope you have my report in front of you. We have all new numbers for this fiscal year, and I believe next month we're going to also add, excuse me, to these tables, the houses that we're doing through the home energy audit program, and give you an idea of how many of those we've done to date, and then through this fiscal year. And then on an update, Ms. Drews and I just spoke about the recycling center, in that we just, in the last 3 weeks, got the Department of Energy to turn those funds over to us. And so she's right now putting that together. It'll probably go out for bid in the next month or so. Within the next 2 weeks. So that's where we're at on that. On the compressed natural gas sites, it's not on here because we just got it done too, but the bid went out for that. It'll come back the end, I think it finishes up at the end of November. And depending on what we get from that, we'll start that within the next month, or both of those projects, within the one at Rowan and the one here at the Outpost one in the next month. So that's where we're at on those.
Councilor Calvin Watts, you have any follow-up questions for Angela or Tom on that?
So I guess I'm still unclear what the actual outcomes for, like, volume of type of materials we're going to recycle, volume, and coverage area out of the center.
We don't know volumes because we've never done it. On the other hand,
Capacity, let me put it this way. What capacity do we have?
I don't know how to phrase that. I know we're looking at 4, I believe, balers with a compressed natural gas forklift, and then how many square foot of building warehouse with a small office. So we're attempting within starting out with the complex community, starting with paper, cardboard, aluminum, and I believe plastics. And then we'll move from there. Now, along with the building, we're looking at 3 or 4 trailers, semi-trailers, and a semi-tractor, so that we can move those and keep them in bulk so that we can actually sell them, or at least get something out of them in that kind of bulk.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Buzzard?
And Tom, are there any plans to put one over at the landfill now to start looking at recycling?
They had taught, no, that's a separate business entity, but yes, they're definitely discussing that.
Okay, and then follow-up question, I don't know, maybe you don't know the answer, maybe you do. On the gas that we're looking at over there.
Yes, sir.
Where are we at this point now?
They haven't put in for a permit on that through the EPC.
Yeah.
I believe they're still looking with that energy company, Montauk, and I imagine posturing on a plan that they can run through the Cherokee Nation.
That's it.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see once we get that done.
And that might be something that, I don't know, they don't report to that business entity, doesn't report to this committee, but I imagine they could if they were asked to give you an update on it. Or I can ask for an update myself.
So that landfill, I'm trying to get this straight, it's not through C&E at all? It's through
It's a separate business entity. It's not under the C&B business umbrella.
We probably already have him come and report a quarterly report anyway, what's going on over there. I guess everybody knew that we were drilling some stuff over there for the methane.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That is a regulatory requirement,
Yeah.
but it's also maybe a business opportunity. They have to do it, but it may well, depending on how it's done, make them a few dollars or some money along with that.
Maybe if we could just get a written report out of him.
Would you like me to request that, or?
Well, I'll take responsibility for that, because we'll probably be talking about that when the post-resolution comes up later on. But Mr. Crittenden and I, this is about this
okay.
board meeting, so we can talk about the concepts that are embodied in the proposal and the prospective business deal.
Okay. That'd be good. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Tom? I've got a question, Tom, real quick. I had some questions about these wildcat dump sites. And so what are some things that citizens who recognize that this is occurring, what can they do to either report this or...
Well, if they would report it to our office, we have a database of those dump sites, and we went through, and the larger ones we've cleaned up. We've gotten money through that has been put together from BIA, IHS, and EPA, and we've gotten it to come through a compact. It's easier for us to spend when it comes to the IHS compact, so they've allowed that to do that, and it's much more flexible for us. And so we've cleaned up quite a bit of those.
There was a question that someone asked, and they said that there was an individual family that was maybe collecting revenues to allow contractors to come and deposit building type materials on their land.
Well, that's not a good thing, but...
Is that something that you guys can regulate in any way or fashion?
We really don't have regulatory authority over private property. Not really something people should do. It's more of a learning thing for them. But they're actually making money from people dumping on their land.
Right.
Would it be restricted or?
I'm not sure. They were just asking, in passing, what could be done. I told them I'd check into it. I didn't know that we could do a whole lot. But so the question is whether or not it's restricted land, and then maybe there's...
That might be something we could look at.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
Yes, sir.
I had a question from Councilor.
Are the are the dump sites on Cherokee Township property? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's. I think it's private property that the people are utilizing their land to allow contractors to come in and put this lumber and sheetrock or whatever.
Construction debris?
Wildcat dump site.
Right. Yeah. That's
I'm
what.
not talking about just coming in, somebody coming in and dumping on the Cherokee property.
No, I haven't been advised of any of that going on.
I imagine we could do something with that. If there was an issue with it getting into the water supply, something like that.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Certainly.
Unless it's a DEQ problem, they can do anything they want to with their own land.
Yeah, that's
If it was a DEQ violation of some sort, maybe they're putting it too close to a stream, to a waterway.
Well, there's land ban on dumping any type of waste.
Right. So I just was wondering if we had any quick
Not lumber,
feedback.
though.
But
If it becomes a waste, it is.
If he's just doing lumber, now
Right.
tires and your insulation, there is, but if they're just doing lumber or something of that sort, there's not really going to be a regulation unless they get it too close to a waterway.
It depends on what you consider it. If it's waste, even lumber,
Now, who are you going to get to do it, Tom?
they probably won't enforce it because it's probably not an issue. Is it against DEQ regulations? Yeah. But will they enforce against it? Not at
When you
all.
got two people that can...
Right.
well, thanks for the comments. If there's anything else, we'll have them contact your office.
Certainly, please.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Appreciate the report, Tom. Moving on to the agenda for old business, none pending. New business, we have one item on the new business agenda. It's a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation to lease trust land to Stillwell Power LFG LLC. And that sponsor is Mr. Curtis Snell and Joe Crittenden. Joe, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I talked with Curtis last night, and we were discussing this, and both of us had some questions that we thought we might need some answers to, or some concerns with this for those long-term lease, and we didn't know who was Stillwell Power and some of the other things, and so I issued my concerns to Ms. Donaldson, and then Pat Ragsdale and I and her and Mr. Lay all sat out there and visited a little bit, and they said we had plenty, not plenty, but we got time to do it next month if we table it today. And quite honestly, I don't really feel all that comfortable right now pushing this for passage because I don't know enough about it. And,
And we concur with Councilman Crittenden. The reason that we moved the legislation, let me tell you what the proposal is. Basically, the proposal is to let a outside contractor come in and build a facility on Cherokee Nation land held in trust by the United States to flare the methane gas and to remove the methane gas and hopefully get energy credits over the long term of the operation. It will require a considerable investment of the contractor. He will be required to have a federal lease on the property approved by the Secretary of the Interior, his representative, and that's yet to be negotiated. The reason that the government, the waste management facility is an independent entity of the Cherokee Nation, but this property is on Cherokee Nation land in trust that the Secretary exercises supervision of. So we're not there. We had moved this resolution to be enacted to indicate we were showing good faith with the prospective contractor to get a federal lease. The terms have not been worked out, and we've talked to Mr. Crittenden about that, and we certainly understand that he wants to pull back on sponsoring a resolution until we can inform him better than we can today.
Well, what do we want to do with this, Councilor Crittenden? You can, we've got some feedback on it. There's obviously probably some more feedback that needs to happen. There's several questions that we may, as a committee, choose to submit to, I assume, to Pat or to Linda or to you. How would you like that to happen?
that could be done that way, or we could go directly to some of the others probably.
So there's some options there. What do you want to do with this piece of
Well,
legislation?
Curtis and I was at the point last night where we were going to ask to table it till next month, and unless there's a reason for not doing that, I would move to table it till the 12th or 13th of next month when we meet next.
We have a resolution that's being recommended to be tabled. I have a second with Councilor Thornton. All those in favor of tabling this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, this resolution has been tabled till next.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Excuse me. I just want to say we completely concur with Councilman Crittenden's request. If it's the pleasure of the council, then we will try to keep Joe and the council members involved as to how this proposal matures, because it has not matured to be a complete proposal at this point, that we can move forward, and hopefully we can meet the time frame that we had talked about earlier.
Yeah, I think there was several questions that came up in my mind, and so Harley and others had some, so we'll send those questions to you, Pat, and you can funnel those to the appropriate persons, I guess. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Do we have any announcements?
I got a question for Pat.
Yes.
Pat, I sent you on an email that we got sent from Gina about some turkeys. How many turkeys did we give to John 3:16? I'm curious.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman, I'm not aware of the... Did you say turkeys?
Yeah, he was on it. I was kind of trying to figure out that.
I have not distributed any turkeys personally for the Cherokee Nation. Then,
If you have no knowledge of that,
if I signed something inadvertently when somebody was asking me, I will take accountability for that. I just don't know. I'll have to look into that.
if you have no knowledge, we can figure that out outside of this committee. So.
I didn't get a turkey, I can tell you.
It's important to me, Chris.
I know that.
I would like to have a turkey if anybody's listening on TV.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any announcements? Hearing none.
Move we adjourn.
We got a move to adjourn, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Too late. All right, we're adjourned.
There you go.